Hey listeners, welcome back to yet another insightful episode of What the Perf podcast. This is your host Mrinal. We have NaveenKumar Namachivayam over on this episode of What the Perf podcast. You may know him from his blog QAInsights and his YouTube video series on performance test tools. So let's quickly get started with the episode and check what's in the news. The first news item I have is about how Google is going to change the way the cumulative layout shift metric will be reported. We had already talked about what is CLS and how it has an effect on user experience in one of our episodes in season 1. Essentially, CLS helps quantify how often users experience unexpected layout shifts. So, which means lower the CLS score, better the user experience. Until now, the CLS score was measured as the cumulative of all individual shifts during the entire web page session. Going forward, it will be reported instead, by breaking up the entire session into windows of shifts and then report the maximum score of each of those windows as the CLS score. The goal here is to help put pages with long sessions, for example, single page applications, on an even footing with other short lived web pages. So, Tim Cadlick from Catchpoint has done some testing around this. You can read more on this in the link I have mentioned in the description. Please check it out. So, the second news item is about the internet service by SpaceX, Starlink. So it had been reported in Indian media that SpaceX's Starlink internet service had opened up for pre-orders in India. However, the Broadband India Forum has reportedly asked the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI, and Indian Space Research Organization ISRO to block the service. The service itself was going to start by the year 2022. I think it needs to be seen how things will shape up by then. If you want to read more, the link is in the description. The third news item is about Neotis being acquired by Tricentis. Well, that brings the two, strong industry players in the software testing world together. I think this will really help the software testing community as a whole. It will benefit from this development. If anyone from Tricentis is listening to this, please keep the Neotis pack going. I think performance community really enjoys listening to that. Let's cut right to the conversation with Naveen. Welcome, Naveen, to What the Perf podcast. Thank you for making it, at late night on a Saturday. I hope it's not too late for you there.
Thanks, Mrinal, for having me. So I think I'm saying your name right.
Yeah, it's Mrinal. Yeah, you pronounced it correct. So, Naveen, let's get started with this episode. Can you start with introducing yourself a little bit to our listeners?
Sure. Myself, Naveen Kumar. So I'm a performance engineer from past, I guess, 10 years plus. I'm well known as a QA Insights in the community world. So I run a blog called QAInsights.com from past 8 years. And initially, I was working as a manual tester in Infosys. I was in Bhubaneswar. I joined as a trainee there. Then I moved to Trivandrum. And then from manual tester to automation, and from automation to finally performance testing. So luckily, I've been into performance testing from past 12 years. Before that, I was like typical automation and manual tester.
You have switched careers. I mean, first you started as a QA, then automation. Did it happen by chance, or did you do it on your own? You wanted to do something more, or how was it?
It was an accidental actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just sitting one day and doing automation. At the time, I think it was we are using Windrunner
Mm-hmm.
and also QTP, right? So those tools.
Yeah.
And one day my manager came and then he was asking me to do performance. And then I told him, I mean, I don't know anything about performance. And then, okay, you just learn and do. That's what he told, and he left. And then I started exploring about the performance testing, how you can do. So I guess my first project with the load runner, that was my first project for insurance client. And from there, I don't know anything actually about anything about load runner or performance, how to record. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So it's just an accident. And then I started learning. I spent almost a week just a self-exploring at the time, no time to attend any trainings. Even the resources also not available at the time about 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So not much resources available. And internet was useful, but whenever you put some question, you don't get answer easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything is like a self-exploratory and self-learning. Luckily, I went through the phase and I was able to complete my first script. It took me around a week to complete my first scripting, and even the scripting is just one phase, but when it comes to load testing, I was not knowing much. How much load I have to put, how to present the results, how to analyze the results. So eventually I learned, and then till today still exploring. Daily I'm learning new stuffs, so that's why it's going.
So this was in 2010s, I think, right? And at that time there were
2009. 2009.
And the amount of resources available was very less. Even I remember I started my career in 2010, and
Yes.
I kind of had a similar experience as you. I was just trained and just put into some project, and some senior person came and asked, "Can you start, using load runner and create some scripts?" So I think pretty much everybody goes through this phase in the early days, right?
Correct. Yes, exactly. Yes, correct. But
Yeah.
at that time, only documentation was available, only docs, right? Only help manual
The official
and
documentation. Yeah.
official documents. Yes.
Yeah.
And the community also, that's what, as I said, right? People might not know answer straight away. You have to research a lot. But everything is C in load runner. So that's a good part. Once you're good in C, you can make use of the functions and you can write the program. But if you hate C, then load runner might be overwhelming for the folks
Yeah.
who are getting started.
It can be a nightmare. Yes, exactly. So that's how you got into performance work.
Yeah, it was an accident. Yes.
Yeah. And now things have really changed from those days, right? At least like people like you are contributing back to the community so that beginners may have it easy, right? Compared to what we had.
Yes. So why I started the blog is one of the reason is I wanted to share my knowledge. I don't
Yeah,
want to keep it myself,
exactly.
and I don't want to forget myself, basically.
Hmm.
That's why I want to keep a log of everything. So I started a blog. Actually, initially I started a blog focusing on automation.
Hmm.
That was my initial inception, the objective.
Yeah.
Then once I got into performance, then the blog turned into a performance blog. But if you see my earlier posts, everything is about QA and automation, mainly about QTP. Selenium was not there. Selenium was not getting a traction at the time, but I was not into Selenium. But everything about QTP and manual testing.
Hmm. So you were doing functional testing and automation for a very short period, I think, for a few months, maybe.
Almost 2 years.
Oh, okay. So does that knowledge help you even now?
Yes, because I try to automate stuffs even
Hmm.
today.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to do it manually.
Hmm.
So for running automation, I don't use the tools, but I write some Bash scripts
Yeah,
or some Windows shell programming
yeah,
to keep things running.
yeah. So that automation mindset has, helped you in your current work as well.
Correct. Yeah, even performance also it's a kind of automation. So that mindset has not gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So Naveen, how would you describe what you do to a non-tech relative, say your father or anyone?
Okay. Actually, my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
she was asking this question
Hmm.
after she started learning reading, and then one day she was just I was just going through my LinkedIn
Mhm.
page, and then she was asking, what is performance engineer, why there is a performance engineer under your name.
Mhm.
Then
Mhm.
at the time, okay, how do I explain to my kid what I'm doing for
Yeah.
the life?
Mhm.
Okay. Just to we have to explain on their world, right? I mean, I cannot tell, okay, I test websites, I cannot tell that. Then she
Yeah.
will ask, what is a website? And then I started explaining about their world. I mean, I just took one example. Say you have a coin, you have a dollar,
Hmm.
and there is a candy dispensing machine.
Hmm.
Okay. So once you insert a coin, then the dispenser machine will dispense the candy. So what if the candy dispensing machine is taking more time to dispense the candy? And then she told, then I don't use that machine. Something is wrong with that machine. That's what she told me. So
Hmm.
that's what your father do. I mean, basically, I find is something wrong. How long it is taking to dispense the candy.
Mhm.
So that's what I do for a living. Then she asking, okay, so then you fix the candy machine. And that was her assumption actually. Whether I actually go to Walmart or to some other place to fix the candy machine, then I told no. But think like if you are browsing your education materials, like they watch all videos, right, in YouTube, or they nowadays everything is online for
Yeah,
their
especially
learning.
now. Correct.
Yeah, they use Google Classroom. Then
Hmm.
I told her, okay, if the Google Classroom is not opening in 2 minutes, then you call your daddy, right? So I just make sure it is not taking more time.
Yeah.
So that's how I explained to my kid.
Yeah. That's a very good example, at least to explain it to kids what we do as part of our
But even
jobs.
today, my father doesn't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That happens. Naveen, what inspired you to contribute back to performance? We spoke about this a little while back, but if you could explain a little more.
So the reason, there is a selfish reason, and also
Mm-hmm.
there is a uh, selfless reason.
Mm-hmm.
So selfish means I want to keep a track of what problem I solved on that day, how I
Mm-hmm.
solved it. People forget, right? And uh, even if you're working in a secure environment, you cannot log that information to the internet.
Yeah.
So we have to keep in that in mind. And at the end of the day, we should try to I should try to put it in the common words, uh, not violating any company policy, and so that it can be useful to myself in future, and also it should be useful to others.
Yeah.
So that's why I started the blog. And initially I was not focusing on how many visitors
Mm-hmm.
they read, but that was not my intention. So
Mm-hmm.
I just put it there. If people like it, they can read. If they people has issues, they can comment. And if they don't care, yeah, they don't care about the blogs.
Yeah.
So I don't focus on SEO, I don't focus on the UI, I don't focus on anything trivial.
Mm-hmm.
I just write whatever things will be useful to others or to myself. I just put it there, and people likes it, yes. I don't advertise my blog. I
Mm-hmm.
have seen many people, they just spam other
Mm-hmm.
groups, or the WhatsApp groups, or Facebook groups, but I don't like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I just publish. If people likes it, definitely they will share themselves,
Yeah, exactly.
right? So that is my, even today also I don't care about how many views I'm getting in my YouTube. Many people will ask me why there is a less number of views to my YouTube videos.
Hmm.
I don't care. Even my wife also, why you are posting YouTube videos, why are you wasting your time? That's what she will ask me. Only person who you watch your videos is only you, or your kids. Why you are posting that?
Yeah.
Then I'll say myself, okay, I don't worry about number of views. I
Mm.
just post it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in future, in some case, if people find it's very useful, they will use it. They
Yeah.
will share.
Yeah.
So I just a self motivation. Nothing. Someone motivates me. No. If someone is encouraging, no. only encouragement I'm getting from the my Facebook comments or LinkedIn comments and LinkedIn chat. So that those things are keeping me going.
Yeah. So you started with the QA Insights blog, and then you have, I think you now have a Udemy course, and you also do tutorials on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Did you start that as an extension, or you thought that will add more value to people who want to learn?
No,
What was your thought?
my initial days, I have focused only on QAInsights.com, my
Mm-hmm.
blog,
Mm-hmm.
nothing else. But eventually, Udemy got a traction.
Mm-hmm.
No more people got into Udemy. Actually, I was late in the game
Mm-hmm.
in YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
If I had have started focused on YouTube, then I would have earned 100K subscribers now.
Mm.
I felt even today also I worried, but today is the day, right? You don't worry about what happened
Fast.
past.
Yeah.
Today is the day. So that's why I started expanding my raison to Udemy. But money making is not my intention. I didn't publish much course in Udemy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I try to keep things as free as possible.
Mm.
Even today, if you see about JMeter, there are a lot of courses in Udemy and even YouTube also a lot of good courses. But I have covered a lot for free in my YouTube videos.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen those.
No one has covered. I can certainly claim that no
Mm.
one has covered that depth about JMeter
Yeah.
in free version. Even if you paid, also you don't get that much information about JMeter.
Yes, yes. I mean, that's the awesome part, because people are. I mean, I have seen that people find it difficult to get started with JMeter, and I think your YouTube videos are really a place where people can get started easily, and those videos are really easy to understand. And I like the way you have split them into multiple episodes. It is easy to grasp, right?
Correct,
Uh,
because people don't like long duration
long.
video.
Exactly, that's what we were talking about earlier. What next do you think can you do to help people learn more? Do you have other plans, or you just want to make more and more YouTube videos?
Yes, I try to keep my blog and YouTube uh, in a same weightage.
Mm-hmm.
When I publish a blog, then I try to put it in a video form. So that's what I try to do. But by going forward, thought of putting more videos about performance engineering aspects, so not
Mm-hmm.
with respect to the tools, but how you can solve, how you can identify bottleneck.
Yeah.
So those kind of videos I planning. But from my knowledge perspective only, I can create some videos. If I
Mm.
don't have that knowledge, I cannot create those videos, right?
Yeah.
For example, if someone is asking database performance, then I don't have that answer because I was not into database performance.
Yeah. So how much time do these videos take for you to make?
Believe me or not, it took
Mhm.
me at least an hour to
Okay.
create a 3 minute video, 3 to 5 minutes video,
Yeah. So
because I
it's.
have to practice myself.
Mm.
And then I have to learn that concept. I cannot share the knowledge which I don't have. Right. So
Exactly.
I try to gain that knowledge by reading the documentation or by working knowledge. Then I should not violate any policy, whatever I learned, right? Then I
Mm.
have to come up with my own demo, my own demo application, then my own scenario.
Yeah.
So I should not copy from other videos. I should
Exactly.
be try to be as unique as possible.
Mm.
Then I have to create some kind of a PowerPoint or some animation, then the demonstration, then multiple retakes will be there.
Yes.
My
Exactly.
kids will be shouting outside, or someone will be knocking at the door, or some noises from the upstairs.
Yeah.
So I should remove those obstacles in my recordings. Then I have
Mm.
to remove the background noise my CPU is making. So a lot of effort is coming up from one video. People don't think those effort. They see only what is there in the outside, the outcome of the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Blog means I can edit anytime, but
Yeah.
video means once it is recorded, I have to the whole retake I have to go. Actually,
Yeah.
one day what happened, I took one long shot, 30 minutes, but I forgot to unmute myself. So
Oh,
this happens, and then I have to reshoot again.
yeah. But in the process, you also learn, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Daily I'm learning something
Yeah.
new. I try
Exactly.
to keep a log of those things.
Yeah. And I've seen that you have created some plugins in Python. I would say that's a very great contribution, because from the number of people I have interacted till now, there are very few people who contribute to open source projects. I think everybody who is doing performance work should start contributing back to at least the tool, right? For example, if we take JMeter, there is still a lot of functionality missing, and I think people should start contributing in terms of building plugins for it, right? What do you think?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. But when you think from the performance tester perspective, as
Hmm.
a QA engineer, right? People they will not have exposure on development
Hmm.
perspective.
Yeah.
They do not know how a professional developer they write code.
Yeah.
Even including me, I'm not telling pointing fingers. Including me also,
Hmm.
I don't have any professional development experience.
Hmm.
So when it comes to JMeter contribution, uh, from plugins perspective,
Hmm.
you don't get much help from the official documentation.
Yeah.
Even if I want to develop a plugin, because I recently have gone through this phase.
Hmm.
I got an idea,
Hmm.
and then I thought of creating a sampler for JMeter.
Hmm.
There was no uh, official documentation. It is there, but it is not helpful from people who are coming from the testing development experience.
Hmm.
Okay, we are test developer, not a developer.
Yeah.
And when you start writing code, definitely you are in no man's zone.
Hmm. Nobody's
And
there
then
to
I
help.
started, then I started learning. I deep dive into JMeter, how JMeter works.
Yeah.
Okay, from the tool perspective, I know how JMeter works, but
Hmm.
from the development perspective, how you can start developing your own plugin. Then it took me 2 to 3 weeks to figure it out. Okay,
Hmm.
what is my IDE? How the IDE should be set up? Okay,
Hmm.
where I have to start?
Yeah.
How I can write my logic? So it took me 2 to 3 weeks. Then I created a simple sampler. It is available in GitHub,
Hmm.
but I have not published in the plugins repository. Eventually, I will do.
Hmm.
But it took me a while to understand how things works in the backend.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. But that's again a learning process, and
Again, learning process. Yes,
yeah, that's what we are supposed to do all the time, right?
correct,
We need to be
correct,
continuously learning. So maybe
correct.
you can do a video on how to get started with plugin development.
Yes, yeah. I thought of creating this. Yes, yeah, definitely, it's in my roadmap.
Yeah,
At least a small Hello World sampler.
exactly. Yeah. Moving on to the next question. So, Naveen, I and you have been doing a lot of performance projects. Across projects, there will be some bad things happening or some anti patterns happening in performance projects. So, if you are given the power, what would you like to change? Or how would you try to affect those projects positively?
I try to engage performance engineers
Hmm.
in the very early in the phase.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
We are talking about shift left, shift right.
Yeah.
Around 7 or 8 years ago, there was a waterfall. So even on waterfall also, people engage very late as a performance tester or a QA.
Hmm.
We engage in a late phase, right?
Yeah.
Even in Agile also, people are doing the same. Believe me or not, even in Agile, performance engineers, they still engaging late in the game.
Yeah.
People say Agile, but we are late.
Hmm.
So that thing has to change. That thing it should come from the management, from the product owners, from the
Yes.
architects.
Yeah.
So they should engage the performance engineers as they are designing the application or the infrastructure.
Hmm.
Even today,
So,
it's happening. I mean, people are saying agile, but we are not agile.
yes, earlier you do your testing earlier, you catch bugs, and you don't have
Correct,
to put a lot of effort to fix those, right? That's the whole point.
correct, correct. Even we are doing API testing. Okay, when we are engaging in API performance testing, we have mock services. Okay, mock services we cannot baseline, right? it's only for mocking.
Yeah.
So even in API, we should engage early. We should get the infrastructure early. We should baseline our test early as possible, not only during the after the automation or after the functional testing is done. Because we are
Exactly.
going with the happy path scenario. Happy path scenario should be done after the unit testing is done.
Exactly.
So we have to get the infrastructure ourselves. Okay, using Kubernetes, just spin up some cloud infrastructure and baseline the test. Engage performance engineers early in the game, not during after the automation or after the queue.
So Naveen, you must have done a lot of projects in performance by now in your last decade of experience. So what do you think are some quick wins whenever you get a project? You will be, I think you'll naturally go and check for some things where you think there will be performance issues. So what are such things you have come across in your career?
So most of the issues I have found in the backend layer, mainly database.
Oh, yeah.
So most of the issues I executed many load testing, stress testing, even in production also I have executed multiple times. So most of the performance issues relies on the backend layer. So mainly statement calls. Whenever there is an update query or whenever there is a huge update or get. So those statements took more time to give back the response under the load. If you send one or two requests, it will be fine. But when you send loads of requests, so mainly the database statements, that's why I have found the most of the issues, and I have worked with architects to fine tune the queries. So most of the issues relies on the database from my experience. Yeah. Apart from that, I have extensively worked on APIs, REST APIs. And in the REST APIs, most of the issues I have found in the response size. Okay, you will be getting huge response size, and it's kind of invalid based on the infrastructure we got. So assume that you have only 1 Mbps line, right? Maximum 1 Mbps only you can transfer. So in that 1 Mbps line, if you are sending 2 MB, then how your response time will be? Yeah, you cannot get 2 MB in 1 Mbps, right? It will take 2 seconds at least.
It'll take double the time.
How can the SLA could be 1 second in that case? Yeah. So this is the details engineers has to focus. Architects are doing 1 second response time. Then you cannot simply follow the 1 second response time. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I always tell people, get the architecture diagram, get the solution diagram from your project team, and go through it and understand the details. Exactly. So this should be the first step for any performance engineer.
So I've seen that many people find it difficult to get access to these kind of stuff, right? Understanding the architecture. It's difficult, but it has to be pursued. There's no other go, right?
Correct. Yeah. I think architecture usually should be very high level, but that information will be helpful whenever you design your flows.
Yeah, you can check which part of the architecture can be stressed using your load test. That it helps you design your tests. Yeah, correct.
Correct. Yeah, whether you want to focus on app layer or web layer, or load balancer, or database, or some third-party microservices. Exactly. So one of the project we had a Google Maps embedded in the web page, and they asked me to load test that particular web page. And then they told me, okay, run some 10,000 requests. Okay, then if I load that page, then definitely there will be a call to Google Maps API. So do we have the pricing informed, the billing information to Google Maps? Because we'll be consuming that Google Maps API whenever we load that page. So in that case, the manager told, okay, no. Then why are asking me to test with the 10,000 requests per second? Either disable the Google Maps or make a mock that particular API, or reduce the requests per second. Yeah. Right. So this is the approach people should take. Okay, they should not follow something they asked that from the architects or development team. They should ask short questions.
Yeah, yeah. That's a hallmark of a good performance engineer. Ask as many questions as possible.
Correct. Yeah, no question is dumb. Only the
Yeah,
answers are.
exactly. So otherwise, you may end up with a huge bill, right? As in your case.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. So Naveen, what is some career advice you would like to give newbie performance engineers?
Okay. Recently, I got one a message in LinkedIn.
Hmm.
So the question is like this. Okay, I am doing a stress testing. How
Hmm.
can I do that?
Hmm.
This is the question a person pinged me and asked. So this is not the approach you should follow, right? When directly he is new to performance,
Hmm.
then he's asking me to give some knowledge about stress testing.
Hmm.
So definitely I cannot help. So people are directly jumping to stress testing without the fundamentals.
Yeah.
So when you are new to performance, uh, you cannot start the load testing or stress testing in day one.
Yeah.
Even including me, I was doing wrong, because that time the client, we were in a situation to deliver the scripts, but that's not the way you should engage your testers to do stuffs. So if you are into performance, you have to start from the fundamentals. For example, if you take a musician, A.R. Rahman or Raja, right? So they are good in fundamentals by nature.
Yeah.
They are very good in the fundamental notes. Then only they should be able to compose the songs, melodies, right? It's evergreen songs. So
Exactly.
that's how people create stuffs. So as a performance tester, that the rule holds good for everyone. If you are doing something, you should be fundamentally good. Correct. If you are a physicist, then you should know the fundamentals laws of physics. So as a performance engineer, you should know how things works basically.
Yeah.
Okay, how networking works. How if you, for example, if you take HTTP, how HTTP works. If you take a DNS, okay, how DNS works. So you have to deep dive into that.
Yeah.
So you have to learn about networking, you have to learn about OSI, you have to learn about DNS, caching, there are a lot of things. Keeps on, I can keep on going actually.
Hmm.
So if you are testing new to web application testing, okay, understand about how a web works, how your application works, how the tool works, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
How to configure think time, whether you are configuring the think time, okay, without think time, you are doing it wrong. There should be a think time.
Hmm.
There should be a timer in your JMeter test plan. Otherwise, you are doing wrong and it will skew the results and it will not be helpful to anyone.
Yeah.
So
It's
spend
just
a
that
couple of weeks. Yeah, spend a couple of weeks in learning the fundamentals.
most new people are in this position that they're just asked to learn something, learn some tool and do performance testing. So I think that comes from there. But even then, they always have the opportunity to say, "I don't know anything. I need to learn. Give me some time so that I
Mhm.
can deliver value by doing the right thing." Right? I
Correct.
think that is where people should start.
Yeah,
But
nowadays we have the tools, right? We have a lot of tools, open source and commercial.
mm,
Even if you take developer tools in the browser, we can learn a lot from the developer tools.
exactly.
So what is the request you're sending? What is the response I'm getting? How we can profile. You can see the response client side performance, and you can debug the elements.
Yeah.
So there is a proxy tools. You can capture the request via proxy. So Wireshark or MITM proxy. So there are a lot of tools available. So only thing is you have to start learning. There are a lot of free resources available, and make sure you start from the basics.
Exactly. As you said, fundamentals are really important. Questions, the right questions should be asked. Why am I doing this? What am I supposed to do? How can I deliver value by doing this? Right. That's what
Correct.
is very important.
Yes. So I'm not saying you have to deep dive. For instance, you can take DNS. So I'm
Yeah.
not telling you should be an expert in DNS. At
Exactly.
least you should know, okay, what is DNS, how you can configure DNS, how it will be helpful in your application testing. So those things, if you learn, it will be helpful forever.
So we're coming to the last question of today. So apart from your blogs, YouTube videos, what other sources of information do you suggest our listeners?
I suggest to read books, the actual books,
Mm-hmm.
not the PDF versions.
Hmm.
So try to get some actual books. There are a lot of books about performance, general anything about performance, like a database performance or system performance, web application performance. There are a lot of books available.
Mm-hmm.
So I suggest try to get the books, actually physical book, and read, and also start listening to podcasts. I'm sure in India podcasts are not very famous like other
Hmm.
medias.
Yeah.
YouTube is famous, of course, and we have the web. But podcasts, there are a lot of good podcasts available for performance.
Yeah.
So I listen before I go to sleep. I listen at least 15 to 30 minutes,
Mm.
and I sometimes fall asleep by listening the podcast.
Mm.
But yeah, it's good, right? At least you should learn different things from many people.
Yeah.
You're not stick to only the web or books. Even the podcast also enlightens you
Yeah.
in performance.
Yeah. I think with podcasts, the advantage is that you can continue to do your chores and then you can gain knowledge at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, your podcast can be run. I mean, you can also work. Nowadays, everyone is working from home.
Yeah.
So you can podcast, it can be played in mobile, and then you can just start working on your application. And basically, one last thing is go through the official documentation. So whenever there is a question,
Mm.
your first place should be asking your colleagues, because colleagues will have the knowledge about your application, and because they would have done similar things in the past. So apart from your colleagues, before you go to Google, go to the official documentation of any product you are working.
Mm.
So that is the way you should follow. First your colleagues, then your official documentation, then Google.
That's a good 40 minutes we spent conversing about all things performance. I would like to thank you on behalf of our listeners and What the Perf podcast. Thank you so much, Naveen, for making time out of your busy schedule and talking to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mrunal. Actually, this is my first public appearance in podcast world.
Podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a good night, Naveen.
And thanks.
That was an interesting chat with Naveen. I hope our listeners get inspired to contribute back to the performance community like Naveen. So now it's time for What the Crash. I'm going to highlight just one crashed website, which was India's tax department's website. The last day to attach Aadhaar number, which is a unique identity number given to residents of India, with the PAN, which is a tax account number. The last date was on March 31st. As expected, people waited till the last day and swarmed the website on 31st, resulting in the crash. RCAs of government website crashes usually don't make it to the public domain, but since this was an expected event, given that the deadline had been pushed multiple times, the agency handling the website should have planned this. That brings us to the end of this episode. I hope you liked it. Stay safe and stay indoors. See you in the next one.